Today I have Mr. Bill Ayers with me on the program. Bill, thank you for taking your time and talking to my viewers and I on the Mike Nice Talk of the Talk show.
Nice to hear your voice, Mike.
Nice to hear your voice. And before I even get started, how's the weather in Chicago? Are you guys at the point where it's really cold or
No,
not
it's
yet?
not cold. It's not cold, but it's pouring rain right now.
Oh man, yeah,
That's all right.
this
Gotta have the rain. You gotta have the rain, or you don't get the crops. So
right.
don't worry.
Exactly. We're here in New England, so the weather's been off and on, and actually snowed in October, the first time since I've been alive that it snowed in October. So we've been getting this mixed weather, but today is pretty good. So
Yeah, I was in Maine during that snowstorm. I was speaking up at Colby College. So,
oh, right.
yeah, yeah.
So the weather is crazy. Yeah, I want to congratulate you on your success on some of the books you and your colleagues have written for the public. First, what made you start to be an author?
Well, I didn't write my first book until I was 45 years old, and that came about because I had been a lifelong. I started teaching in 1965, and I was a political activist from the early 60s on. But I taught for a dozen years, and then when I got into my 40s, I went back to school to get a master's degree.
Okay.
And I found that I liked it. I liked school. I liked being part of education. I liked reading and thinking. And so I went on and got a doctorate at Teachers College, Columbia University. And my dissertation, which was my first kind of extended piece of writing, my professors urged me to turn it into a book. So I published my first book when I was 45, and then I've published a book a year since then. So now I'm 67, so I got 22 books.
And like I said, congratulations on the success. It seems like this is a passion of yours, that you like writing books and your ideas and putting it on a pen and a paper and letting the people know and getting a little insight of what you think and how you feel.
Well, writing a book is an odd experience, honestly. It takes a certain amount of discipline. As you say, getting words on the page. A lot of people want to write, and I often tell my students, it's more than good intentions, and it's more than waiting around for the muse to talk to you. You've got to sit down like a donkey and at the desk and put the words on the page. And if you put one page out a day, over a year you'll have 365 pages. Now, It might be all crap,
right,
but at least you can then begin to edit it. You can begin to think with it. But for me, writing, first and foremost, writing is an act of thinking. You have to think, what is it I want to communicate? Who do I want to communicate with? And that kind of motivates you to get out there and do it. And that's a very important thing to keep coming back to. Who am I writing for? And why am I writing? I got to say, I think that writing a book is also an act of narcissism in a sense. You kind of love to see your name on the page. And so they're all kind of mixed motives. But for me, I don't think I'd have ever written if I didn't have a political motive, a desire to intervene in arguments and to make a difference in arguments. I don't claim any of my books are masterpieces or are, big earth-changing or earth-shattering events. But for me, it's a good, useful thing to get up in the morning and say, I'm going to participate in this conversation, and here I go.
And a college professor at Chicago, where was the transformation? I mean, you're a college professor and then you wrote the book. Was the transformation hard? And what point of your life that you say, I wanted to be, I wanted to write a book and start my first book?
Well, it was really this question. It was in the late '80s. I got my doctorate in 1987 in New York.
Right.
I went looking for an academic job. I got hired at the University of Illinois at Chicago. So we moved from New York to Chicago, and I turned my dissertation into a book, as I said, and it was really at that point that I realized the interesting thing about writing a book, you throw that little, and it's true incidentally of writing a blog as well. You just throw that little stone into the water and you watch it ripple out. You don't even know who's going to read it or if anybody's going to read it.
Right.
But as soon as you get that first hit back, as soon as somebody says, I read your stuff and you're an idiot, or I read your stuff and it really moved me.
Right.
That begins the dialogue, and writing is a dialogue.
Right.
I see it very much as a back and forth, and I think part of the reason I keep cranking out books is because I never feel that I said it right. I mean, I always have I could have said that better. I could write a better book. So I'm always kind of trying to make my arguments clearer. I'm trying to catch up with zeitgeist of the world that we live in. I'm trying to kind of participate as a living, breathing person looking forward, not as some iconic historical figure looking backwards. So, you said in the introduction that I was a leader of the Weather Underground, which is true. I was a leader of Students for Democratic Society. But it always amuses me because, that was 40 years ago. I've been living every day, and I'm living today. So while that's a true fact, it's not the only fact. And like every other label, it's only a marker. It's not the full truth.
Correct. I understand it. And before I jump into some of the politicians and the politic questions, I assume that in the near future you're going to be writing some more books because this is your passion.
Well, I got 2 books in the works right now.
Oh, okay.
And one, we could talk about that. That gets us into politics. But one of the books is called Palling Around, and the subtitle is Talking with the Tea Party.
Oh, okay.
And one of the books is called What If, and the subtitle is Releasing the Radical Imagination. So, these are things that I think about a lot, and I am writing about both of those things right now.